This is KGW News at 11.
Good evening. Let's head right outside this Saturday night and check out the view from our Rose City sky camera, where it's cooled off barely to 60 degrees after a day that, even with that cloud cover, for a lot of folks felt absolutely glorious. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco, along with meteorologist Joe Ranieri. If today felt at all warm, well, Joe, there is a lot more where that came from.
How does 80 degrees sound to you, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
And we're not going to see it tomorrow. We have a cold front moving on shore as we speak, so we are going to be seeing some mild temperatures heading into the overnight hours with some showers. The heaviest amount of rain, Dave, is going to be falling basically now until early tomorrow morning. Really, by 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll start to dry out. But we'll zoom in right now. You can kind of see really up and down the I-5 corridor. We're starting to see some heavier showers, especially through parts of Canby and Molalla over in Clackamas County, picking up some oranges as well. So that kind of gives you an idea just how heavy some of these showers are going to be tonight and into early tomorrow morning. And as we look at the weather headlines, showers tomorrow and into Monday, although tomorrow in terms of rainfall, it's going to be a kind of a mirror image to what we saw earlier today. The heaviest is going to be falling throughout the early morning hours, and we dry out. Slowly seeing warmer weather arrive, and we potentially could be seeing our first 70-degree day of the year, followed by our first 80-degree day of the year. Now we're looking at more than 180 days since we've seen that kind of warm weather, at least 70 or above in the metro area. That could be changing here the next few days. I'll talk more about that in detail in just a few minutes.
Yeah, a lot of folks looking forward to that. Thank you, Joe. Let's get to our top story tonight. Dozens of people gather this afternoon to pay tribute to a radio cab driver who authorities say was murdered by his passenger. 43-year-old Reese Lawhon was beloved by his friends and colleagues alike, and as Cale Williams reports, with the suspect now charged with Lawhon's killing, the focus this evening was on remembering his life.
Reese Lawhon had been a radio cab driver in Portland for more than a decade. But to those who knew him well, he was much more than that.
Reese was an amazing artist and musician. He moved up to Portland to do that.
That's Ellen Jacobs, a family friend who knew Lawhon in his native Texas before he moved to the Pacific Northwest to pursue his creative passions. She was one of more than 100 people who gathered in Southeast Portland Saturday to remember Lawhon at the very spot where he was killed just 2 weeks before, near Southeast Washington and Water Avenue. That's where Lawhon picked up Moses Lopez around 6:40 on April 8th, according to court documents. With no warning, police say Lopez stabbed Lawhon from the back seat. Lopez was arrested nearby and has since pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder charges. But Saturday's vigil was much less about the end of a life and more about a life well lived.
He might have done his own thing and kind of been on his path, but for his friends and family, he'd always have their back no matter what.
Lawhon's death has left a void at Radio Cab. That's according to Darren Campbell, director of marketing for the company.
Every driver is kind of a brick to our makeup, our wall of success. And when you pull a brick out, especially one that is as important as Reese was, it weakens that wall a little bit. I mean, we'll patch it up, we'll put it back together, but it's a loss. It's definitely a loss for us.
But Lawhon's ability to get along with just about anyone was evident in his record.
In over 10 years, he never had a single complaint with us, and the best of the best get complaints, so that says something.
Still, the killing of a beloved member of the taxicab community has left other drivers searching for answers.
There's a lot of anger, a lot of just not able to understand why this happened. And there's no putting the pieces together to figure this one out. There just isn't.
There will be discussions, Campbell said, about installing safety barriers between drivers and their passengers. But those discussions will come in the days and weeks ahead. On Saturday, the taxicab drivers of Portland were focused on one thing, paying tribute to one of their own, as only they could.
This is an opportunity for not just the radio cab family, but the taxi family of Portland to come together and recognize, Reese in the only way they know how, and that's to come together and drive.
Cale Williams reporting there. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, including a fatal shooting in the Cully neighborhood. Portland police say shots were fired at an apartment complex on Northeast Killingsworth around 2 this morning, killing one man inside a unit. Northeast Cully Boulevard and Lombard Street were both closed during the initial investigation, but have since reopened. No word on any suspects. In Washington County, deputies are asking for help finding a suspect accused of attempted murder during what they're calling an alleged road rage incident. Detectives say 43-year-old Glenn Hornsby Jr. attempted to rob a woman, fired a gun at her, and then when she tried to drive off, chased her and shot at her car again. This was Friday evening on Northwest Dogwood Street in the Cedar Mill area. The victim was hit once in the chest. Paramedics took her to the hospital where she was treated and released. Deputies say they found Hornsby's car in Hillsborough and consider him to be armed and dangerous. Anyone who sees him should call 911. In Hillsborough, 2 suspects are in custody after a shooting at the Washington County Fairgrounds Sports Complex. Police say they responded just before 5 this afternoon and found a man shot there. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No word on a motive. Investigators say there is no threat to the public. And in eastern Oregon, hundreds of people turned out for the funeral of Nissa Reserve Police Officer Joseph Johnson. This morning's procession crossing the state line into Idaho. Corporal Johnson died last week, and authorities say he was fatally shot following a car chase after initially trying to stop a man suspected of damaging property and making threats. Now, here is some of what Nissa's police chief shared today.
He was a man that here on earth put on the armor that we have and go out to work every day to fight evil.
And as a reserve officer, a man who did that work as a volunteer. The suspect, Rene Castro, was arrested in Ontario 2 days after Johnson's death and has been charged with Johnson's murder. Well, new this Saturday, the family of an Oregon mother of 3 whose body was found dumped in Ridgefield, Washington, is speaking out. The Clark County Medical Examiner says Joanna Speak's death was a homicide. And as Daisy Caballero reports, her sisters are now looking for justice and answers.
Just why? Just how, why did this happen? How? It just doesn't make sense.
Robin Speaks is desperately searching for answers after her younger sister, 32-year-old Joanna Speaks, was found murdered.
We're all just asking every single thing that you could think of. Just, maybe it was this, or did we check here, or we're trying to cover all the bases, but we don't know.
Stepsister Ariel Hamby says the family has so many questions.
The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head and neck, and that's all we know.
Richfield Police Department and Clark Cowlitz Fire Rescue responded to reports of a body on April 8th. Authorities say located on a property off South 5th Street and 78th Place, about 1 mile off I-5. Though detectives say it doesn't appear that's where Joanna was killed. And according to the Clark County Sheriff's Office, there are indications that Joanna Speaks' body was moved to near this abandoned property. Behind these no trespassing signs, there's an abandoned barn. That's where the Sheriff's Office found Joanna's remains.
It keeps me up at night thinking that whoever did this to her, and that person is walking around.
Joanna lived in the Oregon City area. Her family says she leaves behind 7 siblings and 3 children, her 7-year-old daughter and 2 teenage sons.
You can definitely tell they're sad. They've broke down the first couple days, but now it's like they try to avoid talking about it.
Her sisters say Joanna had been battling addiction on and off for years, and the last time her family had contact with her was in March.
We have amazing memories with her being a big kid. She's hilarious, sarcastic, and
very
super witty. So she was just the missing piece of our family.
The family has started a GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses. And as for finding justice for Joanna,
not a family that gives up, and we won't give up. Fighting answers, doing whatever we have to get some sort of peace for her.
And that we'll find them.
In Ridgefield, Daisy Caballero, KGW News.
Let's get to a traffic alert for first thing tomorrow morning with the Bridges to Brews race shutting down some access ramps to a few bridges across the Willamette. So between 6 and 11:30 a.m. tomorrow at the Morrison Bridge, the right eastbound lane and southeast Water Avenue ramp will be closed for the 8K and 10K run walk. At the Broadway Bridge, access to and from Broadway will be shut down. Some sidewalks and bike lanes will also be closed in those spots, along with sidewalks on the Hawthorne Bridge. And speaking of roadways, nearly $400,000 have been generated by the sale of special Oregon license plates meant to create safe passage for wildlife across our highways. The Watch for Wildlife plates went on sale about a year ago, and 13,000 drivers now display them. The initial funds here are going toward 2 different projects. The first on a section of Highway 20 between Bend and Subtle Lake, where there are lots of crashes involving deer and elk. The second to create a safe way for Oregon's small population of coastal martins in the weasel family to cross Highway 101. Now, officials say each year almost 6,000 Oregon drivers are involved in collisions with wildlife.